April 18th, 2023, 8,091 meters above sea level, where one wrong step isn't a mistake, it's the last one you ever make. Noel Hanna had already conquered Everest 10 times. But this time, the mountain didn't care. He reached the summit of Annapurna, one of the deadliest peaks on Earth. And then, on the way down, he never made it back. Because up here, the summit isn't a victory, it's a trap. 5 mountains, all above 8,000 meters, all inside what climbers call the death zone. Today we rank them, from the ones that might let you live to the one that kills nearly 1 in every 8 climbers who dare to stand on top. This is the death zone, ranked. Number 5, Cho Oyu, 8,188 meters, fatality rate 1.3%. Cho Oyu is one of the highest mountains on Earth, and it carries a reputation that no other peak at this altitude has earned. The manageable one. Its fatality rate of approximately 1.3% is the lowest of any 8,000-meter peak by a significant margin. That number is why thousands of climbers have chosen it as their first entry into the death zone, a testing ground before attempting Everest, K2, or anything harder. The reputation is earned. The standard route is genuinely less technical than its peers. No extreme vertical sections, no knife-edge ridges requiring constant, precise movement. The climb is largely a matter of endurance, sustained effort over altitude rather than the technical skill that Makalu or Annapurna demand. What kills people on Cho Oyu is the reputation itself. A 1.3% fatality rate at sea level is a serious number. Applied to a mountain above 8,000 meters, it means that roughly 1 climber in every 77 who attempts the summit does not come back. The accessibility that draws first-time high-altitude climbers also means the mountain regularly receives people whose preparation and judgment are not equal to what the death zone requires. Permit costs are lower than Everest. Commercial expeditions are more numerous. The result is a broader range of experience levels attempting a mountain that punishes inexperience at altitude, regardless of how gradual its slopes are. You take a step, and your lungs don't respond the way they should. A brain operating in those conditions makes measurably worse decisions than it does lower on the mountain. That is true on Cho Oyu, the same as it is everywhere else above 8,000 meters. The slope forgives, the altitude does not. Imagine this, you're above 8,000 meters. Every step feels heavier than the last. Your thoughts slow down, but you don't realize it. And that is the easiest mountain on this list. Number 4, Mount Everest. 8,848 meters, fatality rate 2 to 3%. It's the highest mountain on Earth, but not the deadliest. Over 6,000 climbers have reached Everest's summit. Hundreds haven't made it back. And the reason isn't what most people think. Everest doesn't just kill with altitude, it kills with crowds. In 2019, climbers were forced to stand in a line near the summit at nearly 8,800 meters. Oxygen is running low, temperatures dropping, no way forward, and no way back. Every minute up there matters. Every delay drains oxygen. Every pause increases the risk of frostbite, hypothermia, or worse. That single day, 11 people died. And then there's the pressure. Climbing Everest can cost up to $75,000. For many, turning back isn't just failure, it's loss. So even when your body is breaking down, you keep going. Guides call this the most dangerous decision on the mountain, because Everest isn't the hardest climb, it's the most accessible one. And that accessibility brings one deadly thing to the top: too many people, making the wrong call at the worst possible moment. And it's only number 4. Number 3, Makalu, 8,485 meters, fatality rate 5 to 6%. Makalu doesn't forgive mistakes. Unlike Everest, where fixed ropes guide climbers upward, Makalu demands precision at every step. Its steep pyramid forces climbers onto exposed ridges, vertical rock, and unstable ice at an altitude where even thinking clearly becomes a challenge. There's no safety net here. Few teams attempt Makalu each year, and that isolation removes any margin for error. On Everest, help might be an hour away. On Makalu, it could be days if it comes at all. And then there's the wind. The mountain stands alone, fully exposed to powerful westerly gusts that strip snow from the ridges, leaving behind hard, unforgiving ice. One misstep here isn't a setback, it's a fall. Climbers who've faced both Everest and Makalu often say the same thing. Makalu is harder, not because it's taller, but because it demands perfection from a body already breaking down. Makalu doesn't rely on crowds or bad decisions to kill. It kills by stacking technical difficulty on top of altitude until something finally gives. And the next mountain is even more isolated. Number 2, Kangchenjunga, 8,586 meters, fatality rate 7 to 8%. Kangchenjunga doesn't just test climbers, it isolates them. Reaching it is a challenge on its own. The journey to base camp takes nearly 3 weeks, deep into one of the most remote regions of the Himalaya, and that distance changes everything. Because when something goes wrong here, help isn't coming in hours, it's coming in days. At this altitude, even a small problem can turn fatal. High-altitude pulmonary edema fluid fills your lung, your brain begins to swell and demands immediate descent. On Everest, a helicopter might reach you within hours. Here, rescue is uncertain, slow, and sometimes impossible. Then comes the weather. Kangchenjunga creates its own storms. Conditions shift without warning. Avalanche risks constantly evolve, forcing climbers to reassess every step. And just meters from the summit, many stop. Not because they can't continue, but out of respect. The peak is considered sacred, and climbers choose to leave the final steps untouched. Kangchenjunga kills through distance, unpredictability, and delay. Because out here, you don't just fight the mountain, you fight time. And sometimes, you hear it before you see it, a deep crack above you. And now, the deadliest mountain on Earth. Number 1, Annapurna, 8,091 meters, fatality rate 13 to 14%. Annapurna is not the tallest mountain on this list. It is not the most technically demanding in the way Makalu is demanding. It is the 10th highest mountain on Earth, shorter than every other peak here except Cho Oyu. Its fatality rate is approximately 13 to 14%. At the worst period of its climbing history, in the decades before modern forecasting and equipment, the rate reached 30%, 1 death for every 3 successful summits. No other 8,000-meter mountain comes close to these numbers, and the reason is simple: avalanches. Annapurna's south face is one of the biggest walls on Earth, rising almost straight up for 3,000 meters. Hanging above it are seracs, huge blocks of ice that are constantly shifting. The problem is, they don't give warnings. When they break, they send massive waves of ice crashing down the mountain faster than anyone can react, and across areas no route can fully avoid. That's what makes Annapurna different. On Everest, turning back at the right time can save your life. On Makalu, skill and experience can reduce the risk. But here, sometimes none of that matters. Climbers have done everything right, trained, prepared, made smart decisions, and still been caught in avalanches that started far above them, completely out of sight. That's why even the most experienced climbers aren't safe. Remember Noel Hanna? This is where he died. In April 2023, Noel Hanna, who had summited Everest 10 times, reached the top of Annapurna. He didn't make it back down, because on this mountain, it's not always about what you do. Sometimes it's just where you are. Reinhold Messner, who made the first solo ascent of Everest and is widely considered the greatest high-altitude alpinist of the 20th century, completed his ascent of Annapurna in 1985 and described it afterward as the most dangerous thing he had ever done. Not the hardest, the most dangerous. The distinction matters. Hard means the outcome depends primarily on ability. Dangerous means something else is deciding. In 1950, Maurice Herzog led the first expedition to summit any 8,000-meter peak. That peak was Annapurna. He reached the summit on June 3rd. The descent nearly killed his entire team. He lost all of his fingers and toes to frostbite. In his account, he described standing on the summit and feeling not triumph, but a kind of bewilderment, as if the mountain had briefly agreed to something it was not obligated to agree to. That bewilderment is what separates Annapurna from everything else at this altitude. Every other mountain on this list can be survived through some combination of preparation, skill, experience, judgment, and the disciplined willingness to turn back. Annapurna requires all of those things, and then requires something more: the particular luck of being somewhere else on the mountain when the ice decides to move. It has been climbed, it has survived, and sometimes it doesn't let you leave.